Now, I normally have some sort of clever, which I mean really cringeworthy intro to some of these reviews. I can't think of one for Finding Nemo because this movie really is a masterpiece. So let's talk about it. Hey guys, my name is Brandon, aka the BrandoCritic, and on this channel it's my job to point you in the direction of movies worth checking out. So if that interests you, definitely hit like and subscribe, and today I'm here to tell you if Finding Nemo is still worth a watch today. So in Finding Nemo, we have Marlin, played by Albert Brooks, and he's a clownfish who is overprotective of his son Nemo, played by Alex Gould. The reason why Marlin is so overprotective is because Nemo was the only survivor when a barracuda attacked his family, killing his wife and all the other eggs in the process. Thus, Nemo is born with a birth defect, his lucky fin, but that doesn't stop Nemo from wanting to explore the ocean. On his first day of school, Nemo is taken by some scuba divers and placed into a fish tank at a dental office, to eventually be given as a birthday gift to the dentist's niece, Darla, who is known to kill her fish. Marlin runs into a blue tang fish named Dory, played by Ellen DeGeneres, who suffers from short-term memory loss, and together, they must track down the boat that took Nemo before Darla's birthday. So is Finding Nemo still worth a watch today? Absolutely, this is one of the best animated movies I have ever seen. Now, nostalgia does play a little bit of a factor in that, but I watched this movie many times when it came out. You know, back in 2003, I was about 8 years old. But it's one of those movies that I watched it quite a few times when I was a kid, but then when I grew up, I became a teenager, I became an adult, I never really watched Finding Nemo again, right? This was the first time seeing it in many, many, many years. So I decided, let's rewatch Finding Nemo. This movie's amazing. This movie really is amazing. And I've said this in a couple other videos how, you know, it's hard to review movies that are just so great or yet so mediocre, because I say you can go down the entire category of the filmmaking processes, right? The directing, the producing, the casting, editing, the cinematography, the production design, the animation, the humor, the comedy, whatever the case may be. And you just go, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. For Finding Nemo, you can literally put great, spectacular, wonderful, amazing, any high praise word like that fits with Finding Nemo. This movie really is one of the best Pixar movies ever. And when watching it again, I really realized that as soon as the film started, this is how you start a movie if you really want your audience to get strongly emotionally invested, right? You start off with Marlin and his wife. You know, they cannot wait to start their family. You set up the ocean, you set up the setting, you set up the home, and then of course you have the barracuda attack. You start off with a tragedy like that. You understand, okay, we know Marlin. We know his character now. We know why he does the things that he does. We know why he acts the way he acts. We know his entire motivation throughout the film. He wants to protect Nemo, because that is a very tragic thing that happens. Right? It establishes the stakes that are going to be throughout this movie. You know, this is not a very kid-friendly movie when you really think about it. This is a film for adults. And Pixar films, they're really great at that. You know, the message in this movie is more targeted at adults than kids. Of course, there are things in this movie that kids enjoy, right? It is a Disney Pixar movie. But it shows you that this film will not be holding any punches, right? It's going to tug at the heartstrings. Sad moments are going to happen in this movie. And because of that, as soon as the scuba divers take Nemo, right, and you have that shot of the boat's wake, and then you hear that piano, it really hits home, right? Marlin's entire motivation, right, or his entire character is based off of not letting anything happen to Nemo. And the one day that Nemo leaves the nest, or leaves the anemone, he gets kidnapped, or fishnapped, I guess you can say. And you can see the fear in Marlin's eyes. You can hear it in Albert Brooks's voice, and you feel it just in the story. Like, this movie really does not hold anything back, right? And I've heard some people complain, well, I don't like Pixar movies because they just emotionally manipulate you. To that I say, movies are supposed to emotionally manipulate you, and Pixar are the masters at it. And they're the masters at creating memorable characters, right? You have Marlin, you have Dory, you have Nemo, you even have Gil, voiced by Willem Dafoe. You know, Nemo meets him in the fish tank at the dental office. All of them are memorable. All of them have backstories. All of them have motivations and character arcs. While yes, Dory will get her character arc in the next movie, but even still, as the comic relief, she's wonderful, and as the emotional anchor and someone who can play off Marlin and really, you know, bring out that emotional arc, because Nemo's not really with Marlin throughout the rest of the film. It's really Marlin and Dory's story. she's still able to bring out those emotional heavy moments with Marlin and his big character transformation. And then of course you have just a huge array of side characters. Like if you look at this poster, every character is in it, but they're all memorable, right? You got Bruce the shark, you know, with all of his other sharks that fish are friends, not food. You have Crush the sea turtle, which I didn't even know this. Andrew Stanton. Yes, the guy who directed the film is also the voice of Crush. I didn't even know that. Fun little fact for you. And here's something I also didn't know. Nigel the Pelican is played by Captain Barbossa himself, Geoffrey Rush. You know, I always love going back to films like this, you know, the films that you used to love as a kid. I mean, you still love them now, but you know, you go through life and you learn more about actors in other films, and then you realize this actor was in this film that I used to love as a kid. Completely mind-blowing. And then of course you have all the fish that Nemo meets in the dentist's office in that fish tank. All of them are greatly designed, all of them are memorable, all of them are funny, and all of them are great. Really, all of them, all of them, all of them. And then as for the story, it is simple yet effective. And I say that all the time. The best stories in my mind are the ones that are simple and effective. And in Finding Nemo, it's kind of a clash between two separate genres, right? Because you do have two kind of storylines going on, A story and B story. So in A story, we have the road trip movie, right? The buddy road trip with Dory and Marlin. And then we have a prison break movie with Nemo and the other fish in the fish tank trying to escape before Darla comes. And it's those two meshing of genres that really make this story simple yet effective. And add on top of that, the pacing is excellent. I really noticed that in this movie. It's like, okay, you have the right amount of time for each scene to understand who, what, where, when, why, and for us to really hit those emotional moments, right? All those emotional beats are there in the right spots. The pacing in this movie is perfect. And then of course we have the emotional investment. And like I said earlier, if you start a film like that, and if you get the audience to get emotionally hooked right from the start, you're golden. And what's so great about Pixar is that they are so great at making these really deep messages for adults, right? I've heard people say this before, but Pixar makes adult films that are child friendly. It's a story about a father coming to terms with his son growing up. And of course, he had a bad history. Of course, this is a really tragic thing that happened and he wants to be overprotective, but somehow, in some way, and someday, you will have to let them go. They have to grow up. They have to go out on their own. They have to explore, and they have to become their own, in this case, fish, right? You know, but a boy turning into a man, a girl turning into a woman, small clownfish to adult clownfish. And because of the emotional investment, the intense scenes are even more intense. And like I said in the beginning, you know, with the Barracuda attack right at the start, this movie is not holding anything back. And from there, the film is literally filled with intense, gut-wrenching, heart-pounding moments. You got the chase with the sharks, you know, you got that fish with that light thing and that fight going on there. You have the jellyfish race, you have the pelican and the seagull chase getting swallowed by a whale. So you have the climax with the fisherman. And then of course we have Nemo's story and him trying to escape the fish tank. Like, this movie is really gut-wrenchingly intense. Like, sometimes I felt like I needed a seatbelt, and it's crazy to say about a film with just some cute little fishies in Sydney, Australia. This is a heart-pounding movie, but because of that, it's extremely heartwarming also. This movie literally does everything right. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. One of the best animated films, yet one of the best films I have ever seen. If you guys have Disney Plus and you guys have never seen Finding Nemo, do yourself a favor and watch it. You won't regret it. So anyways, guys, tell me down in the comment section down below, what is your favorite Pixar movie? Although I do love Finding Nemo, although I do love The Incredibles, I feel a certain attachment to the first Toy Story because I was born in '95. Pixar's first film came out in '95. In my eyes, you just cannot beat the To Infinity and Beyond scene right at the end. That is pure Disney magic. But of course, that's just me. What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear about them down in the comment section down below. And if you're new here and you want to see more videos just like this, definitely hit like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Take care.